King Edward VII's family included many grandchildren. Lesser known among them are Princess Alexandra, 2nd Duchess of Fife, Princess Maud Carnegie, Countess of Southesk, and King Olav V of Norway. All three were grandchildren of Edward VII through his daughters, Alexandra and Maud through Princess Louise, Princess Royal, later Duchess of Fife, and Olav V through Princess Maud of Wales, Queen of Norway. Unusually, Alexandra and Maud were among the only female line descendants of a British sovereign ever officially granted the rank of princess and the style of highness. Yet despite their royal pedigree, their personal lives were largely private. This video delves beyond the official headlines into their lesser-known passions and experiences, from secret engagements and wartime adventures to quiet country pursuits and surprising athletic feats. Born in 1891 as Lady Alexandra Duff, she was the eldest surviving child of Princess Louise, Princess Royal, Edward VII's daughter, and the first Duke of Fife. Alexandra grew up at the British court, but had a streak of independence. In 1910, she secretly became engaged to her cousin, Prince Christopher of Greece and Denmark, a liaison that ended abruptly when their parents forbade it. Soon after, in November 1911, Alexandra and her family barely survived the wreck of the liner SS Delhi off Cape Spartel en route to Egypt. A heavy wave struck her, and she later recalled feeling water rush up her nose and swallow it. But fortunately, she was rescued by a doctor on the beach. Alexandra's father, the Duke of Fife, suffered injuries from the accident and died weeks later. These dramatic events marked Alexandra's early life, though they are little known today. After inheriting her father's titles in 1912, Alexandra married Prince Arthur of Connaught, Queen Victoria's grandson, in 1913, becoming Princess Arthur of Connaught and Duchess of Fife. Publicly, the couple carried out royal duties on behalf of King George V and George VI, and Alexandra famously served as a Councillor of State during the 1930s. But privately, she was even more remarkable. With the outbreak of World War I, Alexandra forsook royal trappings and trained as a nurse. She joined the staff at St Mary's Hospital, Paddington, in 1915 and worked there full-time through the war. After the armistice, she continued nursing education, specialising in obstetrics and gynecology, and even earned a prize for a paper on eclampsia. Colleagues described her as technically skilled and efficient. Later, when her husband was Governor-General of South Africa, 1920–24, Alexandra applied her experience to improve hospitals, child welfare, and maternity care in the Union of South Africa, though even this idyllic vice-regal life proved restricting to her restless spirit. Returning to England, Alexandra resumed nursing under the name Nurse Marjorie, first at University College Hospital and then at Charing Cross Hospital, where she specialised in surgery. She became so proficient that she frequently performed minor operations herself, such as amputating a patient's thumb, and was recognised by King George V with the Royal Red Cross in 1925. During World War II, instead of withdrawing from London, Alexandra insisted on staying and leading by example. She served as sister-in-charge in a casualty clearing station for troops evacuated at Dunkirk, and then founded and equipped the Fife Nursing Home in London using her own funds. For a decade, she ran this home as matron, providing care while Britain recovered from war. Tragedy and personal projects marked Alexandra's later years. Her only child, Alistair, Earl of Macduff, died tragically in Ottawa in 1943, reportedly after passing out drunk and falling from a window. This loss left Alexandra without an heir. In retirement, she suffered from crippling rheumatoid arthritis. Confined to her home, she turned to writing. In the 1950s, she penned 2 autobiographical sketches, A Nurse's Story, 1955, and Egypt and Khartoum, 1956. in an engaging style, detailing her war nursing and even the dramatic SS Delhi shipwreck. At the time of her death in 1959, she was working on a memoir of big game hunting in South Africa, indicating a fascination with African safari culture. Princess Alexandra thus lived a life far beyond courtly duties, a dedicated nurse, a wartime heroine, and an avid writer and hunter who quietly left a unique legacy. Princess Maud, born 1893, was Alexandra's younger sister, sharing the same royal lineage through their mother, Princess Louise. From youth she was known as quiet and reserved. In fact, one contemporary account calls Maud one of the shyest members of the royal family, rarely appearing in public beyond obligatory ceremonies. Maud's adolescence also nearly turned tragic. She and her family were aboard the SS Delhi with Alexandra during the 1911 wreck and almost drowned in the rescue boat. Intriguingly, legend holds that shortly before the wreck, Maud accepted a stranger's gift, a strange ring with the warning, "Nothing will harm you while you wear this ring." Maud reportedly kept the ring on her finger throughout the disaster. Whether lucky charm or coincidence, Maud survived along with her mother and sister, though all were shaken. Maud largely stayed in the background of royal life. In 1905, as with her sister, King Edward VII granted Maud the style of Princess Highness, a rare honour. And she even took part in events like her grandfather's funeral, 1910, and King George V's coronation, 1911. But after marriage, she preferred seclusion. On the 13th of November 1923, she wed Charles Carnegie, Lord Carnegie, later Earl of Southesk. The couple made their home at Elsick House in rural Kincardineshire, Scotland, where they ran a model farm. By all accounts, the farm was quite sophisticated for its day. They experimented with new crops and livestock breeds, showing Maud's hands-on interest in agriculture. Living on the estate suited her reserved nature. She enjoyed country pursuits rather than city pomp. One of Maud's most significant private interests was girl guiding. A devoted Girl Guides leader, she served as a county commissioner in Angus and Aberdeenshire and sat on the National Committee for Scotland. In 1937, she received guiding's highest honour, the Silverfish Award, reflecting decades of service to youth education and outdoor training. This engagement with guiding remained largely out of the royal spotlight, but it reveals how Maud quietly embraced community and mentorship. Aside from guiding and farming, she rarely undertook typical royal patronages. In fact, during World War II, she served one term, 1943 to 1945, as a Councillor of State, a duty arising from her place in succession. But even that was done in the family style without personal fanfare. Maud's personal life was private and low-key. A fitting anecdote is her shy demeanour and superstition. Years after the Delhi shipwreck, people still remembered the mysterious ring story, but Maud herself never spoke of it. She continued tending the farm and her son, born 1929. Those closest to her remembered a gentle, dutiful woman who preferred woolly tweeds to tiaras and family life to court ceremonies. Her legend, the Countess of Quiet Service, remains an obscure chapter in a family history dominated by kings and queens. Prince Alexander of Denmark, born 1903, was King Edward VII's grandson through his mother, Princess Maud of Wales. In 1905, he became Crown Prince Olav of Norway when his father took the new Norwegian throne, and Olav later reigned from 1957 to 1991. Outside Scandinavia, he is remembered mainly for leading Norway during World War II. Inside Norway, however, he was Folkekongen, the people's king. Colleagues said he had a considerate, down-to-earth style that made him immensely popular. Unlike many royals, Olav shunned pomp whenever possible. He often drove his own car, sticking to public lanes, even when bus lanes were allowed for royals, and famously adapted to shortages during the 1973 energy crisis. One memorable photo from that period shows King Olav, dressed in full ski gear and carrying his skis, standing in a crowded city trolley, the tram, to conserve fuel. When asked how he dared travel without guards, he quipped that he felt he had 4 million bodyguards. All his Norwegian countrymen, Olav's love of sports and the outdoors was a lifelong passion. As a young man, he was an accomplished ski jumper and sailor. In 1928, Prince Olav won an Olympic gold medal for Norway in the 6-metre sailing class. He later joked that he became so thoroughly Norwegian that his own children married Norwegian commoners, a self-deprecating nod to his family's Scandinavian identity. Aside from sailing, stories abound of Norwegians encountering Olav on cross-country skis, gliding through forests, indistinguishable from any other citizen on the trail. He even set a personal record at age 86, celebrating his 86th birthday. In 1989, the king spent the day sailing his 18-foot yacht, Teddy, in a regatta on Oslo Fjord. His sporting spirit and modest lifestyle, just one of the people, as colleagues put it, made him an enduring folk hero in Norway. On a personal level, Olav's private life was touched by both joy and sorrow. He married his first cousin, Princess Martha of Sweden, in 1929. Their marriage was happy but tragically short. Martha died of cancer in 1954, 3 years before Olav became king. Widowed, King Olav never remarried and often spoke fondly of Martha's memory. The couple had 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, the future King Harald V, all of whom he doted upon. He once remarked with dry humour that he had become so Norwegian that his children married ordinary Norwegians. One son-in-law was a diplomat, and one a painter. This reflects how Olav viewed the throne not as a barrier above the people, but as part of the country's fabric. Olav V's personal popularity was evident at his death in 1991, at age 87. Tens of thousands of Norwegians lined the route to mourn him, lighting candles outside the palace, a spontaneous outpouring of respect. He left behind no scandal or secret romances, only the image of a sailor king and grandfather who loved skiing, sailing, and ordinary life. His legacy lives on in Norway's collective memory as a monarch who truly bridged royalty and the everyman. Princess Alexandra, Princess Maud, and King Olav V may not occupy the same historical limelight as their famous relatives, but their lives were full and distinctive. Alexandra's commitment to nursing and her adventurous memoirs, Maud's gentle devotion to home and the Girl Guides, and Olav's sporting zeal and down-to-earth rule each reveal a rich personal side to European royalty. In a way, these 3 grandchildren of Edward VII each embodied a blend of duty and individual choice. They fulfilled their royal roles, yet followed their own passions away from official ceremonies. Their stories remind us that even in a royal family, there are chapters of quiet courage, private warmth, and unexpected turns, qualities often hidden behind the coronets and courtrooms.